Am I crazy, or is the LEGO Pokemon theme really good? Since 2020, LEGO has been going more and more in the direction of expensive adult-oriented display sets. Just take a look at the revamped Lord of the Rings theme that started in 2023. Most of those sets sit closer to $500 than $50. Initially, it seemed like the Pokemon theme would be going that same route, with its initial wave of sets consisting of a $650 display piece, a $200 Pikachu, and a $60 Eevee. But now that the summer wave of sets have been officially revealed, it seems like the Pokemon theme is one of the most balanced of any licensed themes currently in production. We've got 3 sets at $20 and under that all look great for the scale, with my favorite of the 3 being the Bulbasaur and Bidoof set that just nailed the look of the Pokemon in LEGO form. I love the style that they went for with these, and they feel properly recognizable, but still very blocky in a charming LEGO way, if that makes any sense. The Bidoof is super goofy looking, and I love the kind of squared off face that he has, same with Bulbasaur. I think the stylized approach that they took is really interesting, and I'm a fan. Then we have the Charmander and Geodude set, again at $20, that looks fairly solid. The Geodude looks way better than I would have expected given the size, and the Charmander, while a bit goofy looking, I think looks pretty decent. Then of course we have the cheapest set of the bunch in the Jigglypuff Concert at $15. Now for those unaware, I'm mainly into LEGO Castle as a theme, and for me it's kind of unheard of to get anything this affordable out of LEGO. A $15 castle set would be a dream. And I hope we see LEGO continue to produce $15 sets of a single small Pokemon with a couple of accessories like seen here. Small circular looking Pokemon would thrive at this price range, like with Jigglypuff. Some no-brainers that came to mind for me would be Wooloo, Spheal, Darumaka. I mean, come on, you get the idea. There are so many Pokemon that LEGO could make as cheap sets from like anywhere from $15 to $30 in this exact same style. I think it's such a great idea, and it's a really easy entry point into the theme. Anyhow, moving up in price, we have the Squirtle and Buggy Adventure set at $30, which is maybe my least favorite of the bunch. The Buggy just takes up too much of the set and the piece count. That could have went to another Pokemon, maybe another water starter could have been a nice fit here. I don't know, you get the idea. This set just feels a bit overstuffed for only having Squirtle and no other Pokemon. At $35, we have the Paldean Starters Battle Pack. All 3 of them look really solid in this scale and have some great sculpting in Quaxly's hair swoop and Sprigatito's tuft of hair. I think they look great. Sprigatito is the standout of this set for me. It's the perfect LEGO version of the Pokemon at this small scale, and it makes fantastic use of this new claw piece. It's like a triple claw, I don't know what to call it, but it looks great here. Moving up in price a bit, we have the Mew and Drone set at $50. As someone who's always loved mythical Pokemon way more than legendaries, I am super happy to be getting Mew in LEGO form. Out of all the LEGO Pokemon that we've looked at so far, this one's my favorite. The designer just nailed Mew's cat-like alien form and exaggerated features. It's a great LEGO version of the Pokemon that I virtually have no complaints about. Sadly, the rest of this set really just isn't made for me. These are, after all, playsets made for kids, so with the set, you get a Pokeball-like drone thing that is, granted, a very unique idea, but something that I personally just don't need to have. You also get a little bit of a ruined temple that is obviously drawing some inspiration from the first Pokemon movie. It would have been cool to get a sticker of the Mew pictograph scene in the movie, but I still like the more generic ruined stickers in the set as is. I am curious how this set's going to go over with kids, as personally I know I would have loved a Search for Mew set with a drone or helicopter as a kid. I don't know, there's just some very clear play value in how this set was designed without even getting into the smart bricks attached to these sets. Which, speaking of the elephant in the room here with these sets, they all have smart bricks, but I'm not going to talk about that now, I'll save that for later in the video. Up next, we have an Eevee and Lapras set at $60. Earlier, I mentioned the $60 Eevee set that LEGO released back in March. That set was by far the most well-received of all 3 launch sets, both because of its more affordable price, but also due to it being a fantastic build. That's to say, this much smaller playscale Eevee almost looks better to me than the more expensive display one. I don't know how LEGO did it, but they just nailed it with this Pokemon. Eevee looks adorable here, and I doubt LEGO could realistically improve on this design by much at all. You also get a little raft for her with a Magikarp sticker design on it. It might be a print, but I'm willing to bet it's a sticker here. It looks kinda cool, but there's no great pictures of it as of right now. Moving on, we have the Lapras. I was put off by Lapras at first glance, but the more I looked at this set, the more I started to like it. The only off part to me, I think, is the neck. It's either too long or too straight, or maybe both. I don't know, there's something going on with the neck that just reads as wrong. I don't know. Apart from that, I am a fan of this LEGO Lapras. The body, shell, and head are all sculpted really nicely, and it even has some angled plates near the bottom of the shell to better represent the markings seen on Lapras. However, the best part of the set to me is the piece allocation. Most of this set goes towards the Pokémon while still leaving room for some other side builds that add ambiance and play to the set in a way that I'd like to see replicated in future waves of this theme. Anyways, up next we have the $70 Mewtwo's Lab Break set. I imagine this is going to be one of the more popular of the playsets this summer with adults, as it both represents a classic Gen 1 Pokemon and the backstory from both the movie and original games. It feels like the best of both worlds for adult fans of Pokemon and the target audience of young kids. This set was clearly designed with both groups in mind, as Mewtwo stands inside of the iconic cloning tube from the Cinnabar Mansion. It acts as both a display stand for him, but can also break apart in two as a play feature. If I could only buy one of these sets from this entire wave, it would almost certainly be this one, and that's coming from someone that doesn't even really like Mewtwo that much. This set looks terrific, and it comes with some worthwhile decorative pieces like a Master Ball and this highly detailed monitor for the cloning tube. It is a stickered element, but I think it looks really good, and I'm really happy they included it here. Now, Mewtwo himself is sculpted nicely, and at least to me, looks like a display-worthy model on his own. Ideally, this set would maybe be like $10 cheaper, but let's get real here, it's Pokemon and LEGO, so I'm not surprised it's priced where it is. That said, I still think even at $70, it's a great looking set that you can buy and totally ignore the smart brick functions with it. Which brings us to the Pikachu Training House, also priced at $70. Immediately, I think we can all agree that this is just not something for adult fans of LEGO or Pokemon. This is a playset for kids that is meant to be the starter set for the theme and a way to introduce you to smart bricks and its functionality with the rest of the LEGO Pokemon. I'd be a fool to say that I like this set and the idea of smart bricks, but I mean, I'd also be kind of obnoxious to complain about them as an adult because it's just not for me. I can't truly get inside the head of a child and whether or not they'd enjoy smart bricks and the integration into LEGO. That's the job of focus groups. However, I can remember how much I loved role-playing with my Pokemon figures as a kid, and I can imagine smart bricks as being a fun way to augment that experience. I can also imagine it as taking away from some of the imagination and play that comes from the lack of technology. So it really goes both ways, and I don't have an answer here. On a much better note, we have the $80 Umbreon vs Garchomp set. Similar to the Mewtwo set, I think it's safe to say that adult and teenage fans of Pokemon are gonna love this set. LEGO chose two extremely popular and slightly edgy Pokemon for this set that makes it stand out apart from sets like the Squirtle car and Pikachu's Training House. Umbreon looks fantastic with very minor printing across the face and legs. I was a little worried that the printing would look off in person, as LEGO historically is pretty bad at printing on black. But the red eyes and yellow ovals look pretty sharp in the lifestyle photos taken of the set, so hopefully that translates to in-person sets as well. Overall, I think they did a great job at forming Umbreon out of LEGO, and she seems to have a fair bit of posability in the tail, ears, and legs. On the other hand, Garchomp looks just about perfect to me. The sculpt on his head is immaculate while only using like 2 prints for the entire model in his eyes. The arms and legs look great, and this model really just looks like a custom mock to me rather than a LEGO playset. It is a real triumph in design, and I am super impressed by what the designer was able to pull off while still having to fit that 2x4 smart brick inside of it. If you can't tell, I'm just super impressed by this build and love how it looks. I would have preferred this to be a single set on its own, but I don't know, I think Garchomp is the selling point for this set. I know there's a lot of people, maybe even the majority online, that dislike how these playscale LEGO Pokemon look, but to me, this is the ideal LEGO Garchomp. I would much rather have a slightly blocky and stud-covered set at a reasonable price than have a super detailed and larger set at an unattainable price. You could of course go the route of pre-molded LEGO Pokemon parts, like just one mold for the head and one for the fins, but I don't know, that kind of just defeats the purpose of LEGO to me. Like, I like having to build everything together and see it come together as a cohesive model. If I wanted a model of Garchomp at the same size but like perfectly accurate, I would just buy a statue of him. That's way easier. But for me, a more blocky Garchomp and the experience of building it is just a lot more fun than the statue, but I do understand why people are disappointed. The expectations between you and I are just in two different places, which is fine. Anyway, the rest of this set is quite sparse, including a trophy and a Pokeball. Similar to the Lapras and Eevee set, I like that the majority of the parts here in the set went to the Pokemon rather than the side builds. It just looks much better like that. Sadly, the next set we have doesn't quite do that. This is the Cubone and Gengar Spooky Showdown at $90. Up first, the good. I think LEGO did a great job with Cubone. He's downright adorable and surprisingly accurate given his small size. It's a fantastic little model of Cubone, and I have no complaints whatsoever. Gengar is obviously the main attraction for this set, and I think LEGO did a great job at capturing the essence and personality of the Pokemon, but didn't quite nail it on the design. All of these playscale Pokemon are stylized to a certain degree. Their proportions are squished and overall a lot more square. This is very jarring at first. Like, I didn't like this Gengar at all at first glance, but after looking through every set and really just taking in the stylized approach that they're going for, he's grown on me a lot. First off, the face. You could not get a more Gengar expression if you tried. It's cheeky, mischievous, and even lets you move the tongue back and forth. The real point of contention here is just how square he looks. Could LEGO have made him more accurate by rounding him off more? Yeah, definitely. But that would have taken him out of the style guide that they seem to be using for the rest of the playscale Pokemon. Most of the Pokemon, apart from like Lapras and Garchomp, have rounded off square faces with a print. The difference with Gengar is his whole body and face is one part, so with that same face style getting scaled up for Gengar, leaves the rest of him looking just way too square, which is a fair critique. At the end of the day, it's a matter of personal taste, and I imagine that the stylized, squared-off, rounded faces is going to be the major point of contention for the rest of this theme's life. However, the biggest problem that I have with this set is the accompanying side builds. The crypt stage platform thing that Gengar is on just doesn't look very appealing to me. Granted, it's obviously more of a vehicle for the smart bricks and the play features of the set, so it not looking great isn't a huge deal for the target demo. I don't know, I just feel as though they could have cleaned this up a bit more, as it looks a bit messy to my eye. Overall, I like this set fine, but it's probably not one that I'm gonna buy unless it goes on a heavy discount. Moving on, we have the final and most expensive set of the summer wave. The Charizard vs Jolteon battle set comes in at $120. This set is another starter one of sorts, like the Pikachu training house, as it comes with 2 smart bricks and a charger. This inflates the price of this set quite a bit, unfortunately, as without that element, I really like this set. Jolteon shines in its simple but well-detailed design. The use of studs on the side of his legs works so well to suggest like a ruffled fur, as do the spikes and slope pieces used for his collar and tail. So far, every iteration of Eevee and her evolutions has looked great in LEGO, which has me hoping they make a Leafeon and Glaceon at some point down the road, as those are my personal favorite evolutions. Back to the set though, Charizard also looks fantastic here, and I have no complaints about his design at all. I'm honestly a little surprised to see the reaction to this set is kind of negative, because ignoring the price and the smart bricks, which I'm not a fan of, I still think this is a great looking LEGO version of Charizard. It's got that LEGO charm while still looking accurate to the original Pokemon, and I think he turned out looking great. I don't know, I had a lot of fun looking through all these sets, and I'll definitely be picking up a few of them over time. While I'm not 100% happy with how some of these sets look, I am thankful that LEGO is actually making some relatively affordable sets after the disappointing launch of the theme that mostly catered to the insufferable investor-type opportunists that have downright killed the trading card scene. I really do hope LEGO continues to make sets that cater to all fans of Pokemon, and not just the brain-broken, AI-obsessed freaks that litter convention centers across America. I'd also love to hear what you all think about these sets in the comments, as I think I might be in the minority when it comes to my opinion on them. I'll absolutely be doing at least 1 or maybe 2 non-sponsored regular fella reviews of these sets in August when they release, so if you want to see that when they come, why not subscribe? A big thank you goes out to my channel members Gyojo, Faisal, Rio Bricks, Wachtermeister, Ryzen Covers, Peter, Daventria Bricks, Space Marine 5869, Nimble Saucepan, The Squad Up Kid, Binge Yuen, and all of my other members for supporting the channel. And as always, thank you all so much for watching.